Ladies and gentlemen, belt. The word of the day today is belt. Premium belt was being handed out today. Barcelona 7, Newcastle United 2. Liverpool 4, Galatasaray 0. But even Bayern 4, Atlanta 1. Like, it was just premium belts being handed out today. And obviously, I watched the Barcelona game first because that was the early game. And that first half showed me everything that I needed to know about both of these teams. Everything I need to know about both of these teams I saw in that first half. Two teams that can score goals, that can attack, that can punish you if you make mistakes, but two teams that are so disastrous in defense, so poor defensively, especially Barcelona. Barcelona might be the worst defensive great team I've ever seen in my life. Like, when you look at all the very, very good teams that you've seen in previous seasons, teams that win certain leagues, teams that score a bunch of goals, they might be the worst defensive team out of all the teams I've seen in the last 20 years. In terms of great teams, truly, truly talented, explosive, attacking, they might be the worst defensive team out of all those teams I've seen in the last 20 years. They don't defend. They can't defend. It's not even a case of they don't try. They just do not know how to defend. They don't have defensive players, but they have bazookas and missiles and rocket launchers and AK-47s and weapons of mass destruction up front. That's what they have. They have atomic bombs up front. Think of every weapon you can think of. Barcelona has that. If it's not Lewandowski, it's Rafinha. If it's not Rafinha, it's Lamine Yamal. If it's not Lamine Yamal, for me, Lopez will pop with a goal. Danny Olmo will pop with a goal. Francois will pop with, they have too many. How many teams in world football can say on any given day, 7 players on their team can have a brace? 7 players on our team can just score 2 goals at any moment. No other team can say that. No other team in world football can say we can just any day 7 guys can. Even Mark Bernal scores braces. This team, they have too much firepower. They have too much firepower. They have too much going forward. But what can ultimately be their demise is that defense. The goals today were just they're just so fluid in attack. So fluid. Lamine Yamal doesn't really have his best game, scores a penalty. Maybe Ramsey could have saved it, whatever. The controversial point in that game, I think, would have been that penalty that Barcelona get, because to me, that's a red card. You're stopping an obvious goal scoring opportunity. Like, I understand if there's no chance Rafinha can get to that ball and you foul him, and we've seen times where players will shoot the ball or they'll round the keeper and they're going so far away from goal, but because the keeper touched them, they still get the penalty. Okay, I understand that. But the fact that Rafinha was about to tap the ball in, more than likely, I'll say he probably maybe gets to that ball. I'm not 100% sure. But you foul him. You make no attempt to play the ball. To me, that's a red card. I don't know the exact rules. I don't know the regulations or whatever. But to me, that's a red card. So somebody has to explain that rule to me. But that was, I think Newcastle were very lucky to get away with that. And I was thinking, this might galvanize them into the second half, because you're not going down a goal in the second half. Maybe it will galvanize you. Trippier comes off and it just gets worse. It just gets worse. In the span, I promise you, people were texting in the group chat. The game was 3-2. Next thing I know, it's 7-2. They put Newcastle away with such speed, with such efficiency and effectiveness. It's just unbelievable. Rafinha is getting goals from errors. Lewandowski, Lamine is dribbling through the middle, playing to Lewandowski. Lewandowski is finished. It's just too easy for them to score goals. The problem with this team is what we've been saying all along. Defensively, can they lock in? And they can't. We've seen it for two plus years now. They cannot. Wherever they play, you just have to hope that they score less than Barcelona, because Barcelona cannot defend. And they won't defend. João Garcia, I wonder if that injury is going to be anything serious. But, I mean, at the end of the day, he's the one saving this team from conceding a multitude of goals every game. I watch their games, and it's João Garcia making a great, impressive save every single game. World-class saves every single game. Literally saving these players every single game. If he's not in that team, I don't know who saves them. I don't know how they get away with the way they play. But today is a day of celebration because 7-2 under any circumstances is incredible. But in the Champions League specifically against a very difficult opposition such as Newcastle, this is an impressive win for Barcelona. And now I think, who do they play next? They play, I think, Atletico Madrid, because Atletico Madrid progressed. So, yeah, Barcelona will play Atletico Madrid. It's going to be a different kind of proposition because we saw in the Copa del Rey, Atletico Madrid gave them 4-0 in the first leg. Obviously, they almost came back in the second leg, but this is going to be a very different proposition to Newcastle. Obviously, Newcastle are an inferior team. They're going to give them problems physically. I think Newcastle played generally to the best of their abilities. I mean, they made defensive errors, but in terms of I think the first leg is what really killed Newcastle, because you had the chances to score 2-3 goals and you blew it. The moment it was 1-1, I knew for a fact they were going out. I knew there was no way they could make it up. There was no way they could make it up, and they didn't. So credit to Barcelona, incredible win. Then we move on to the later game today. The only game really of consequence for me, right? Not because I'm a Liverpool fan, but Bayern were up 6-1. There was no jeopardy in that fixture. Tottenham were down 5-2. There was no jeopardy in that fixture. I didn't really expect to see anything that I didn't already expect from those two games. So I honed in on Liverpool against Galatasaray because Liverpool 1-0 down. But going to Anfield in the second leg, Galatasaray could have no fans, away fans at the ground. Liverpool were basically playing a training match in front of their home fans. There was no outside influence. There was no away fans. There was no pressure on that in that game. And obviously, Osimhen goes down with that injury right away, and that just once that happens, Gala are dead. They have nothing beyond Osimhen in terms of who can you rely on in the Champions League to score you goals. They have nobody. And he was a passenger for that entire first half. And Liverpool should have put Galatasaray to the sword early. Right? Salah misses a chance, misses a one-on-one chip. Wirtz misses a chance, gets a chance blocked in the first half. Ekitike, poor finishing, poor striking in the first half. Szoboszlai, who's been Liverpool's player of the season, is the one that eventually breaks, and that's such a brilliant corner kick routine from McAllister. And the technique on that ball, on that strike, is incredible. It's just incredible. Left foot, fading the ball away from the keeper into the corner. Glorious strike. 1-0. And I'm thinking to myself, just put him to the sword. Finish the game in the first half. What we saw against Spurs a couple days ago, we don't want that same situation now. Gala are poor away from home in the Champions League. I think 4 games or 5 matches, 4 losses. And the fact that they have no away fans today, I knew they would lose this game. I just knew they'd lose this game. I didn't know how much. But when you go away to a hostile environment and you have no fans, you almost have no chance of winning that game. Unless you're just much more superior to the other team, which they're not. So that was already playing against them. But then in the second half, Liverpool finally turned it on. Liverpool finally remembered, oh, you actually can play decent football. You actually can play good football. And we saw that in the second half. The way they blew Galatasaray away in that second half was absolutely incredible. The goals that they scored were incredible. The goal that Ekitike scores, the Wirtz to Salah to Ekitike, all one touch kind of football was brilliant. What we haven't seen enough of in this season. We haven't seen enough of that quick one touch football throughout the season, right? And then a similar situation happens again. Wirtz to Salah. Shot gets saved. And then you see Gravenberch there following it up. But my favorite goal is obviously the Salah goal. The Salah goal is just vintage Salah. Playing that 1-2 inside with Wirtz back heel to Salah, and then that curl that we've seen so many times. We saw it against, over the years, against the likes of Roma, against the likes of Chelsea. Well, Chelsea was more of a strike, but just that's Everton. We've seen that same kind of Salah finesse, Brighton, that same kind of finish so many different times, and that you just see vintage Salah in that moment. But at the end of the day, Galatasaray are terrible away from home. This is really less about how great Liverpool are and about how bad Gala are away from home. 6 matches in the Champions League, 5 losses, and bad losses. 5-1s, I think a 3-0 in there, and then obviously a 4-0 today. They just play terribly away from home. But Liverpool actually look like they know how to play football for the first time in a while. You just ask yourself, can you do this in the Premier League? Can you do this in the Premier League and push towards a top 4 finish? Because it's right there in front of you. Chelsea are faltering. Chelsea now have no other competitions to worry about. I think FA Cup is the only thing they're in. They don't have to worry about Champions League anymore. United also, same thing. Right? So it's going to be very, very difficult for Liverpool moving forward. But the expectation and the hope is that you can at least sneak 5th position. Right? Take this momentum into the Premier League and go from there. But today was a brilliant performance. I think 30 shots or so. Let me see. 32 shots. 32 shots against Galatasaray today. Chakir today was incredible. I know Liverpool had poor finishing at certain moments, but he generally was incredible. 11 saves today is incredible. I think he's only 24. I have to check exactly how old he is. I'm not sure how old he is, but he's 29. I still was young. Well, I thought he was gonna get a big move, but that was an exceptional performance. And even the first leg, he had 6 saves. So he's performed extremely well in this round of 16 tie. You gotta give him the credit, right? He's not the reason that Galatasaray lost this game. They lost this game because they had no control in the game. Obviously, no away fans hurts you tremendously. You didn't see Sarah, you didn't see Torreira, you didn't see Lemina in the midfield. You did not see those guys at all. Controlling the game, picking up the ball, they just did nothing. Osimhen obviously was a passenger the entire game. Didn't see anything from him. So that was a very, very damning performance on Galatasaray. But we've seen it enough a couple years now that how poor they play away from home. It's just a fact of any top team playing Gala today will have the same result. Would have the same exact result. Bayern, PSG, Madrid, Barca, any Premier League team, even Inter, that they would all have the same results against this Galatasaray because they're so poor away from home. But for Liverpool, great win. Now can you hold that momentum and carry that into the next game? That's really what's most important. But Florian Wirtz today, that's more like it. Gala are poor, but that's more like it. Ekitike, that's more like it. Where have you guys been in the last couple of weeks when we really needed you? You haven't been anywhere. So I'm sorry again. Man of the match performance from him. Salah, you picked it up a little bit. That's what we need from these players. That's what, and I think you look at this lineup that Liverpool played today. You have to play this again against Brighton. You have to. I have to check when exactly that game is. That game is on. It's the next game to the 21st. So, that's in 3 days. In 3 days, you play that game. And the fact that there was really no energy being used in this game lets me know that you can probably just play the same 11 again against Brighton on Saturday. And it'll work. So, that was a beautiful performance. That's probably one of the best performances in the Champions League from Liverpool this season. I think obviously the Carabao is also up there, but this was an amazing performance. And now I cannot wait to see the quarterfinals and what happens in the quarterfinals. I make a video predicting that. But like I said before, at the end of last week, it's up to Arsenal and Liverpool to save the day. The Premier League got cooked in this Champions League. City lost what? I think 4 goals on aggregate. Spurs lost what? 2 goals on aggregate. Chelsea 8-2 or something like that on aggregate. Newcastle was it 7-3 or 8-3 on aggregate? Like it was big, terrible results. But Arsenal and Liverpool managed to save the Premier League at least some semblance of pride. So let's see what these two can do in the quarterfinals. Guys, like the video, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you all very, very soon. Peace out.